Hello, hello, hello. Hope you've had enough of these to come to terms with the end of season blues. Greetings. Welcome to paulkoharski.com. Appreciate you coming. I'll give you a minute to filter in here as I have a sip of my end of season beverage. Come on in and get some things ready here to be able to fully discuss the matters at hand. How's business this evening? I hope well. Get into the proper place here. If you'll join me in retweeting or sharing, it will either prompt some other members to come in or stir some curiosity among some non-members who will be jealous that they are not here, which will be a good thing for us all. Hello. I never say what I'm drinking because I once had a very good deal, as you can see there over my shoulder, with a company that I hope to have again with another company. And so I will name the beverage I'm drinking when the when a company is paying me to do so. Tough break for the boys, eh? Says Joseph. Yeah. A break of their own doing. Yeah, it would appear Craig Ackerman's not going anywhere because they found a fall guy and his assistant, Matt Edwards. So it was all Matt Edwards' fault on special teams. All Matt Edwards' fault. Couldn't you tell the way Matt Edwards was botching things on special teams? Craig Ackerman has a special place in Mike Vrabel's heart. He does. I don't quite understand it. This is a guy who told me in answer to an early season question that they don't judge kick returns by yards, judge it by field position, as if those two things aren't one and the same, and as if teams are kick returns against are regularly returning from 7, 8, 9 yards deep, so that a 30-yard return doesn't mean that much if it's only getting you, to the 21-yard line, like it's coming from 9 yards deep, which it is not. I don't know. I don't get Ackerman at all. I don't get him at all. Coaches that were fired: Hazlitt, assistant strength coach, assistant special teams coach, assistant defensive line coach. No offensive coaches. So maybe that means he hasn't got to the offense yet, or maybe it means none will be gone. Yeah, there'll be these chats in the off season. We'll go weekly when stuff's going on, not during the dead period, and then as news breaks that warrants them, I'll jump on for sure. Given the financial impossibility of getting out from Tannehill's contract, do they take a swing at a draft pick, and if so, what round? Well, Paul, I'm not a big fan of later round draft picks at quarterback. They don't generally pan out. The Titans don't have a second round quarterback. If you see somebody at 26 that you love, I wouldn't be averse. I don't think. I don't know a lot about this quarterback class yet. Malik Willis is a guy I'm curious about from Liberty. Thing is, if you're taking a quarterback at 26, you've got to view him as Tannehill's replacement in 2023 when you'd be taking still a significant dead money hit. And then, anytime anything's going wrong in 2022, you've created a conversation about the benching him. The other thing is, if you're feeling like you can make another run, and quite frankly, I think they could make another run to a good playoff position in a bad division. Ideally, pick number 26 would be somebody that could help you. I know they don't have a good record of that being the case. They've got a lot of first rounders who haven't helped them. But, if you got a really good wide receiver there at 26, say, or a really good tight end, could help make Ryan Tannehill a better playoff quarterback. You win the division, you go into the playoffs. Maybe he gets hotter. Maybe he has a couple games where his decision making is better. And, you did go to an AFC championship game with him. Maybe you can make another run there. So, I think that they certainly have had to lose some faith in Tannehill, probably not to the level that you and I have, but you have to still go forward, and I would think that they think, if they can get in a position, it doesn't have to be as good as this year's position was, get into the tournament, you've got a chance to do something in the tournament, and it'd be ideal if you could add some players who are going to help you do something in that tournament. You draft a quarterback in 23. Yeah, I don't know that Honor Landry is going to require cutting, Mike. I think Honor Landry. First off, you could franchise him; it'd be a big number. But to re-sign him, which would have a smaller first year hit, you can, Saffold, I think, would be the most likely guy to go. I think they like Brewer a lot. You can get Brewer in the starting lineup there with Saffold gone. I haven't looked at his money. I could flip over and see what that would save. Maybe Jenkins, if you're confident in Farley coming back from his injury, and then you'd have Fulton and Farley with a Molden. And some other options there in terms of depth. But I think you could find a deal with Landry there and still be okay. And Jones. Jones isn't going to cost a fortune. So let's go take a look at Saffold's cap number. Roger Saffold's contract regarding Spotrac is for 22, $9 million base, 12.8 cap hit, 2.3 dead cap. They could save $10 million right there. So that would certainly be favorable. Cap tracker for 2022 has the Titans at just under even, minus $231,000. So they've got work to do, but it's not deadly. And this cap, we talk about it and people take it very, very hard, but teams manipulate the cap. Good teams manipulate the cap well. And I think the Titans need to do that. We'll do that. We'll find a way to do that. Well, you have to tackle Kim Kim's got a good question here about do they tackle Simmons or AJ Brown long-term contracts? I mean, Brown is more of a concern for holding on to purposes because you have a fifth-year option on Simmons as a first rounder. You don't have a fifth-year option on AJ Brown because he's a second rounder. So you've got some leverage with Simmons. You don't have any with Brown. So that sets your priorities right there. I would be working on, I'd be working on both of them in the summer, July and August. Ed Henry says he doesn't think it's fair to use the Bowen of last year argument for Downing this year. Granted, he had injuries, but when healthy, Bowen never had as much talent as Downing had. I agree with that. Though I think the comparison's fair that everybody wanted Downing fired last year and everybody wanted Bowen fired last year and everybody wants Downing fired this year. And it's possible for a guy to get better from one year to the next year. And the example is there with Bowen. So that's certainly within the realm of possibility. I think the other thing that makes it different is that Tim Kelly is on the market right now. And Mike Vrabel was very interested in Tim Kelly last year and couldn't get permission to talk to him. And right now he's just out there. And he could probably hire him right now if he wanted to hire him. Now soon these 9 open coaching jobs are going to fill up. And as those 9 open coaching jobs fill up, Tim Kelly's going to get job offers. I would imagine one of them is going to be, at least one of them is going to be as a coordinator. But if he doesn't get one of 9 coordinator jobs, he's certainly going to get a quarterback coach job or something. And he'll be off the market. I don't expect Todd Downing to get fired. One ridiculous thing that people have been talking about is the idea that the Titans couldn't fire him until after the Pro Bowl. The Titans could send Haas or Matt, some of their equipment guys, out to coordinate the offense for the Pro Bowl. That is not a reason that Mike Vrabel would not be making a move. Yeah, I'm not Aunt Deasy. I'm not big on this. I don't understand the big dilemma that it creates to put 2 running backs on the field at the same time. So you have Foreman and Derrick on the field at the same time, and the defense denotes that there are 2 running backs on the field at the same time. Then you hand the ball to one of them, and the other one is irrelevant. Like I don't think it's that tricky. Never been that crazy about the idea of 2 running backs. I don't think it's that brilliantly tricky. You have eyes on 2 people, and then the quarterback hands the ball to one of them, and then you have eyes on one person. I would rather them, spent their time coming up with a new screen or this little everybody's calling it an RPO, but this stupid play that he tried to throw to Chester Rogers with AJ Brown wide open on the other side that Mike Hilton read the first time and nearly tipped, and then picked off the second time, come up with some wrinkles that aren't so recognizable from you having done it before. I'm not a big fan of your wrinkle suggestion. Sorry. Downing coordinated the Raiders, I think, 2017, which was Jack Del Rio's final year. I mean, they're in no panic to bring back Deontay Foreman. They're not like, oh my God, we've got to bring back Deontay Foreman and working on it right now. Like, no. Would they like to have him back? Sure. He's not some kind of priority like Ben Jones or Harold Landry. Let's make sure he's unrestricted. Yeah, unfortunately, he's not on the Not on the list I'm looking at. Give me a second. Well, he made 920, which would be a veteran minimum. So, yeah, he's unrestricted. So, I mean, certainly somebody that did a good job for them and they'd want back. But does he want back? If he can find a job on a team that has somebody not like Derrick Henry, I would. I would want to go to a team that doesn't have Derrick Henry. Secondary coaches, best position coach this year. I don't know. Tony Dews did a pretty damn good job at running back with Foreman and Hilliard and Henry the first 8 weeks. Tony Dews is the first guy that comes to mind. Second guy that comes to mind is Terrell Williams with Danico Autry and Jeffrey Simmons. And outside linebackers were pretty damn good also. With Autry shuffling in and out of that, and Landry and Bud. So, I mean, I think the corners coach, Anthony Midget, did a nice job. He had a lot of different guys with depth issues and injuries, but I don't know that he's clearly the best guy. Facebook user. I think Downing was in Minnesota before he was in Oakland, or he's in Minnesota maybe after. I don't know if James Cook is a receiver or running back, Mike. You have to give me more than that. I don't think being a small market matters a lick in terms of picking up an elite player. I don't think anybody uses a small market as an excuse for that. People use a small market as an excuse for the lack of attention the Titans get. Outside of that, being a small market has no bearing. Players go to the team that pays them the most money, and the Titans have an advantage of being in a tax-free state. So with Texas, the Texas teams and the Florida teams, they've got a little bit of extra appeal there. I don't know that Titans are in position to spend any kind of good draft capital on a running back. Henry's still going to carry a good share of the carries. Hilliard is, in line now to be a third down back, and got to sort things out from there. Especially in the third round, they need a receiver, they need a tight end. They're probably going to need an offensive lineman, though they suck at drafting offensive linemen. Could be looking at a quarterback. Where did Arthur Smith's offense rank overall? I can pull that up right here. Offensive ranking is not necessarily the way you want to look at an offense, but for simple comparison, and he had that, look, they lost Julio Jones. Calvin Ridley left the team relatively early. Gage was hurt. Arthur Smith had very little in terms of offensive weapons. Atlanta was 29th in total offense, 31st rushing, and 16th passing. The Titans were 17th overall, 5th rushing, 24th passing. Titans are very predictable with personnel on the field, but in some of this, they don't care. I mean, it's pretty obvious if they're in two back, two tight, one receiver, and it's Nick Westbrook-Akina, or whatever variation of that, one receiver with Nick Westbrook-Akina, they're running. Is that frustrating in that it's predictable? Sure. Do they run for 3 yards and a first down a lot of the time when they're in that? Yeah. And so they don't seemingly care that they're predictable in that. They're looking for 2 or 3 yards on a, whatever down and 2 or 3 yards, or, it's a run play that they're confident they're going to get X number of yards on, and they're satisfied with it. And they don't care that the other team knows that they're running. So there's something admirable about that, I suppose. Yeah, I think trading for Russell Wilson would cost a fortune, and I don't think the Titans can afford to trade a fortune considering their overall age of their roster. Well, the coordinator Facebook user isn't usually the quarterback coach. Quarterback coach and coordinator are two different positions. So I don't have a problem with that. A passing game coordinator, sometimes that stuff is divvied up. The fact of the matter remains, like, would you rather have had Tim Kelly coordinating your offense in that last game or Todd Downing? I would have taken my chances with Tim Kelly. Well, Ed, if you're saying that the Titans need a field stretching wide receiver, that's no secret. They need a fast guy who takes the top off of defenses. But that fast guy is not going to come in the package of a lot of guys who are available as a smaller guy. This guy from Penn State right now is the kind of guy. He's been mock drafted to them at 26. Dotson, maybe. But he's 5'11". 185, and I don't think they're taking a 5'11", 185 guy. I feel pretty confident they're not, unless they have a major change in philosophy. They are a big-bodied, physical team, and they don't see a guy like that having a primary role in their offense. Ryan Tannehill, I don't know how long you build to Ryan Tannehill, but Ryan Tannehill likes big receivers. And the team likes big receivers. So they need to find a big, fast guy. Titans can find ways to make cap space. Yes. Yeah, this is the Arthur Smith question. You meant he made strides from year 1 to year 2. He was pretty good in year 1, too. He was handcuffed his first 6 games by Marcus Mariota. As soon as Ryan Tannehill took over, he got pretty good. I don't have those numbers in front of me, though. Ed, the only wholesale personnel changes I could see on offense are, they can't get rid of Julio Jones. Cutting Julio Jones would only save them $1 million. Doesn't make much sense to pay him 14 to be gone when you can pay him 15 to be here. AJ Brown's going to be here. Derrick Henry's going to be here. Ryan Tannehill's going to be here unless they find somebody a strange bedfellow to make some kind of deal there. They should explore everything, but I'm not optimistic they could find anything. I think Taylor Lewan's going to be here. Saffold could go in a money move. Ben Jones, I think they want back. Nate Davis is going to be here. Right tackle, they should absolutely be looking to upgrade. It should be Dylan Radins. Tight ends, I don't think it matters much. They need to find a front of the line tight end to push the guys they have or whoever they get down a peg. Wide receivers after AJ and Julio, Westbrook-Akina is going to be here. After that, how concerned are you with those guys? So what I just rattled off, how much is that a big overhaul? I don't think it would amount to a big overhaul. Well, what's a modern offense still leaning on Henry? For Henry to be Henry, he needs a lot of carries. So do you want Henry or do you want a modern offense? And you want him running a modern offense with Tannehill? Have you seen what happens when Tannehill throws 25, 28, 30 passes? They don't win. They don't win. So be careful what you wish for there, Zell. So Chris says he's Penn State alum. He's watched a lot of good receivers over the years, and Jahan Dotson is very, very good. I don't doubt it, but he's not very, very big. He's not even average size for a wide receiver. I just don't see him. Well, look, you can find, I don't think Danico Autry broke the bank coming to Nashville. Let's take a look at his contract. 3 years, $21.5 million. I mean, his cap hit this year was $3.5 million. Can you add somebody like that in free agency this year? I would think absolutely yes, Paul. So Zell, did you not watch the game against the Bengals? Zell says that take the training wheels off Tannehill. He should be able to air it out in a modern offense while leaning on Henry. He's making too much money not to trust him. They couldn't trust him against Cincinnati. How many passes did he throw? He turned the ball over 21 times in 18 games this year. 21 times. He threw 24 passes. Against the Bengals, he threw 3 interceptions. You haven't been paying attention if you think the solution to their problems right now is to ask more of Ryan Tannehill. They're asking the right amount. If Tannehill needs to carry them, they're usually in trouble. Yeah, I don't know why somebody on Facebook is saying, considering the age of the roster, if we have similar results and no Super Bowl next year, you think they'll blow the team up next offseason, clearing salaries of aging vets. Not everybody's the same age. The roster is staggered. You don't have to have all or nothing and blow up the team. You start to peel out the old guys. You start to replace them with new guys. You get yourself in a better cap situation. What they'll need then is a new quarterback. They'll have to swallow a cap hit, I think something like $18 million to get out from him in 2023. So it'll be blown up in that you'll be playing a newer, inexperienced quarterback. But when you go in 2023, you'll have I think it's an 18-8 hit on Tannehill. And then you'll probably have a rookie quarterback. But then in 2024, you'll have a very cheap quarterback. And then you've got a lot of money to spend because you've got no quarterback salary cap hit. And so you're not blown up. I mean, you might not be good because your quarterback's not good, but you've probably got A.J. Brown and Jeffrey Simmons and Harold Landry and Kevin Byard and the core of still very good players. So a lot of people are too much with the all or nothing. You don't have to. It's not all or nothing. And if Radens isn't starting next year, I know all of you guys are in John We Trust, but if Radens isn't starting next year, I don't know what you're trusting exactly. Is that Carson or Casey? Casey. I think people are crazy to want to cut Taylor Lewan. And I'll tell you why. First off, you got to learn from Jack Conklin, right? Got to learn from Jack Conklin. Second year, now Conklin was younger, but second year off the ACL, you get back to form. And Taylor Lewan in form is pretty damn good. Then he was his contract was front loaded. Next year he's only due to make 11.6. His cap number is only 13.3. His dead cap, if you cut him, is 15. So you're going to pay more for him not to be here than you would pay for him to be here? It makes no sense whatsoever. Also, you can't play a second year or a first year left tackle based on John Robinson's draft record. So you would have to go out and get a veteran. And if you went out and got a veteran left tackle, guess what he's going to cost you? More than 11.6 base salary, more than 13.3 cap hit if he's any good. Taylor Lewan's going to be here, I think. You're not dead capping him at 15 instead of cap hitting him at 13.3, instead of paying him 11.6, which is not much for a good left tackle. I think it's crazy to want to move on from Taylor Lewan. D-Gup says Marcus Johnson will probably be there. Marcus Johnson will be there, and then he'll get hurt, and then he won't be there. That's why Marcus Johnson was available to the Titans. That's what Marcus Johnson does. That's who Marcus Johnson is. Lamb was a horrific signing, Jaron. He's a bad player. Biggest current weakness position-wise? Top of my head, I say tight end. I mean, didn't get anything consistent out of tight end. Defense, pretty solid across the board. You'd like to get better at corner. Oh, I wanted to look at Janoris Jenkins. What do you think, Chris? I wanted to look at Janoris Jenkins' contract. Appreciate y'all coming in. It's good to see you. Appreciate all your support year-round. You've been great to me. I really appreciate it. Titans can get out of Janoris Jenkins for $3.2 million in dead money. He's due a $6 million base and a $10.2 million cap hit next year. So you could save $7 million getting out from Janoris Jenkins. I would seriously consider that. So there's another savings. I haven't seen Titans and Mox. Gesicki from Miami is a free agent. Ed, I said before, I think AJ's got to get extended first because you got a 5th-year option on Simmons that protects you there. Zell, if you put more options on the field, then there's less protection. Then he's getting sacked or he's under pressure. When he's under pressure, he's not as good. You're missing a lot about Tannehill, man. It's like you haven't been watching. Paul says the Titans showed us how much they trusted Tannehill by how slow-moving they were in the final drive, and he still fucked them. He still found a way to throw a game-losing interception. That was me, that last part. Dude, half of the people in the box are protecting him. Zell, we're done with your topic tonight. Paul, there wasn't a lot of downfield stuff this year with the bad protection, with the hurt receivers. Only guy on the Titans with any downfield threat is A.J. Brown. Who else is getting downfield? Andrew, I know what I read in the Tennessean, which the first piece last summer wasn't very good. What they showed, corner suites and a great plaza. Now they're talking about the neighborhood, which is going to finance the changes. But I mean, I want see-through concourses. I want better points of entry, more gates. I want better premium seating. indications to me that all three of those things are certainly on the board for them. Sammy, I think the prime cut candidates are Saffold and Jenkins. Restructures, anybody's a restructure candidate. I've been told you don't even have to say yes to a restructure, and a restructure is just moving money around. So there's nobody that wouldn't be restructured. But look, you got to be sure about a restructure. Those Tannehill restructures were just pushing money around, and look what it did to his cap numbers and how much trouble it has you in there. Yeah, I got you, Kaysen. I know you weren't anti-Luan. Lamb's contract, we want to see if we can get out of that. If the Titans can get out of Lamb, I would think they could. I mean, Lamb isn't making any kind of big money. You can get out of Lamb with $850,000 of dead cap money and save a little over $3 million. Somebody said before 3.3, 3.2. Yeah, 3.3. So there's 3.3. Jenkins is 7. That's 10. And what did I say Saffold was? 10? It's $20 million right there. Alan says Tannehill struggles to read defenses after the snap and to get past his first or second read. Arthur understood this and helped him play at his best. Downing has struggled with this and caused him to hold the ball too long and throw into bad coverages. Tannehill can be a good quarterback for the Titans if he's set up for success. Well, look, I don't think Downing did a good job at all. But Downing's not causing him to hold the ball too long all the time. He had receivers who couldn't uncover. He had protection that couldn't hold up. If he's under siege, that causes problems. If nobody's open, that causes problems. Those two things aren't on Downing. That forces short throws. Todd, I know of this from personal experience. How much influence do the Titans have over what's said about the team on their flagship station? I could tell you that one of the reasons I'm no longer at the Zone is because they were exerting more influence. They wanted the Zone to have control over the website that you're a subscriber to, that you're part of this broadcast through. And that simply wasn't tenable for me. There's nobody at the Zone that's qualified to have any kind of control over this website. And it was ridiculous that that certain arm of the Titans wanted that. And there's some newer people there that don't get it. There's some new people at the Zone who newer on our talent. It's not going to say certain things in certain ways about the team. And it's one reason their ratings are shit. I think Dupree's a great signing. I think he's going to be a great player here. I think he was very good when he came back from the abdominal injury. And I think he's going to be a good investment. Now they're going to, I'm sure Harold Landry's agent's going to say, well, we've got to have what you're paying him. And so I think the shape of how they spend money is going to change, right? They used to, have a more expensive tight end room, say, and a more expensive cornerback room. Well, now you're going to have Fulton and Farley as your two top cornerbacks, those are cheap rookie contracts, and the outside linebacker position is going to be very expensive. Offensive line might get cheaper if Saffold's a salary victim, and outside linebacker is more expensive if you're paying Landry and Dupree. Sammy, sorry I missed you when you're in town. They can save a little less than $1 million by getting rid of Evans. He's talking about Darrington Evans. Hilliard and Foreman have to show enough to have shown enough to cut bait in Darrington, right? Yeah. If they need that $1 million, you can get it. I figured that Darrington would get one more camp, but we'll see. Ferkser good as gone. Ferkser's a free agent, I believe. Ferkser's unrestricted. I don't think there's going to be any kind of big market for Anthony Ferkser. I don't think the Titans are in any rush to sign him back, but I think he'd be a minimum level guy. So they'll let him get out there, explore the market, and when nobody signs him, I imagine that they might like to have him back, but he's got to be back in a role that suits him better than the one they tried to cast him in this year. Brandon Lewis, Paul, great response when Vrabel asked you to talk about any player's injury, and he would talk about it. Oh, well, I was talking about off-season work away from the facility, which I know he's got concerns about what guys do, January, February, March into April before they report back, if they come back for OTAs, etc., and then what they do in, June, July. That's 5 months conceivably away if you do come back for OTAs. And I know the Titans and teams worry about what guys do while they're away. I wrote a piece about it regarding hamstrings during this year. And even if you're training really hard with your own guy away from the facility, somebody told me, hey, it's a whole different deal when you have the capacity to say no, when you're the boss of the trainer and you can say no, or let's do something else, as opposed to, being there with Frank, the strength and conditioning coach, and you're doing what you're told by your coach. And so Vrabel was saying, give me a name of who you're talking about. I said Julio. He didn't go there. Seems like if we keep, this is Paul, it seems like if we keep Honor Landry, there's only one starting spot available on D next year, corner, and hopefully that's Farley. Across the front, let's go, you'd have Landry, Dupree, Simmons, Autry. You'd have Long and Cunningham. You'd have Farley and Fulton. And you'd have Hooker and Byard. You're set, right? Sammy points out, to be fair to Downing, Tannehill was not good against the Ravens last year. He's terrible. He's 3 for 6 in the fourth quarter against the Ravens for like 21 yards and a pick. Yeah, everybody had a bad day against the Ravens last year. And we wanted to think, hey, that's the Titans just having a shit day against a team that's generally owned them in the playoffs. And then they came back and they did this. No answer to why Julio wasn't on the field on the 3rd and 5 when they threw to NWI. Yeah, I have no idea about this. To be honest, I probably did the Titans' dirty work by drawing attention to that. I know that promo was edited on Monday when I heard it, and Choke was no longer in it. But Paul Mason, the program director of 104.5 The Zone, your Titans flagship, if you go look at his Facebook post, he was at the game and he said, hey, either way, I'm a winner here. Lifelong Bengals fan and with Titans radio. So the guy who's programming your hometown station, Sports Talk, and who runs Titans Radio, was pretty happy with the result of that game. Which is fine if he keeps it quiet, but that he's advertising it, if I were you, I'd be pissed off. Thank you, Jaron. Top 3 offseason priorities in my mind. Re-sign Landry. Tannehill working on not turning the ball over. I don't know what exactly you do there, but you got to get his mindset right and his game revised. And I would say Downing revamping his mindset on the simplistic stuff that we've seen film guys break down. That if amateur film guys who cover the Titans can pick it out, certainly defensive coordinators of playoff teams can pick it out. Those are the 3 off the top of my head. I don't know where to go with this. I would tweet Outkick, the big address, and say, how do we get Outkick 360 on Sirius? That would be a good place to start. Need a speedy wide receiver, but he needs to have speed, Alejandro. But here's the thing about not keeping Landry. This is a position where you have to home grow talent. You finally home grow talent and you let it walk. And you've effectively traded your developed guy, Landry, for Dupree. And then you let Landry go and you're immediately looking for an outside linebacker again. Oh, you got to pay for 2 edge rushers. If you have them, you got to pay for them. This team is a whole different. I mean, that front made this team this year, and you're going to let a quarter of it go? I think that's crazy. I think it's crazy. I think you got to sell out to keep them. I'm not sure about the retirement, but I wouldn't count on Roger retiring. Still an elite run blocking offensive lineman. I don't think they're going to think too much about the future TV contract impact on the cap. Ed Henry, I hope we take calls in the future, but I don't know exactly what the plan is for that. Brent Dougherty's a phony. Why should you buy in on this offense again? I don't know. I'm not selling. Sign Ben Jones is big, but I mean, I wouldn't put it ahead of those things I mentioned. Well, I try to be honest with my sources. I give them information that could be relevant to them if I think I've got it. That was for JR. I like Jamison Crowder, but he's not getting. I'd have to check on his age and his speed. Yeah, Todd. I mean, you could look at the Clarksville station that we're on and see about their live streaming option for Outkick 360. I think most people, this is a Facebook user, I think most people are out on Tannehill right now. But fans in Nashville, Tennessee of the Tennessee Titans defend Tennessee Titans at all costs. I mean, they think that at the end of the regular season, I got buried for saying that Julio Jones didn't live up to his end of the trade bargain. Somebody practically threatened my kid over it. It's just the way this market is. Super soft, super embracing. I mean, they still ask about Trey McBride. Jameson Williams is very attractive, Mike. I agree with that. I don't see why he wouldn't try to bring back Randy Bullock. I'm pretty sure that's a 1 year contract. We're on the radio in Clarksville. Or Cookville. Maybe I'm getting confused. Double checking. Sorry, I should know that. I think even if Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, you're not necessarily going to. You think Derrick Henry versus Patrick Mahomes is going to result in the Titans winning a playoff game? I know they beat them during the regular season, but the regular season and the postseason are two different deals. I mean, you go ahead and take Derrick Henry. I'll take Mahomes. You go ahead and take Derrick Henry. I'll take Josh Allen. You go ahead and take Derrick Henry. I'll take Joe Burrow. You go ahead and take Derrick Henry. I'll take Justin Herbert. I think I'll go 3-1. I'll take my chances. Sorry, we're on in Cookville. All right, we're running out of steam here, and we're at 52 minutes. Well, I think the worse you play, the more likely it is you lose support in the locker room over time. But the fact of the matter is the guy's done a lot more good than bad. And, you don't bail on your friends after one bad day, right? You don't bail on your coworkers after one bad day. Julio Jones, Chris, had two reasonably good days, 58 and 68 yards. I don't understand why we act like that's 150 yards. Like, it was okay. He's going to be here because it cost $14 million to have him and $15 million not to have him. But I don't know why you'd count on anything from him. Count on a bad hamstring. When do we hear next from Vrabel and J-Rod? Vrabel will do some talking next week at the Pro Bowl. J-Rod will probably talk at the Senior Bowl. They'll both talk at the Combine early March. Formula costs like $900,000 base. Kaysen, we talked about a lot of the stuff that I think will go on in the offseason here. I don't know if you consider that fireworks or quiet. That's your call as to what that qualifies is. So this is in Cookville. If you want to look up Sports Radio 104.7 in Cookville, you can stream there, I believe, and maybe create a button for yourself on your iPhone. What was Julio like in my interactions with him? My interactions with him were group interactions with him. I think he's weird, but I dare say he's weird, and everybody in where he says hamstring. What hamstring? The first time we asked him about his hamstring, and all the fans are like, "Oh, what a cool guy, Hall of Famer, unbelievable." I think he's weird. Paul thinks fireworks would be a first-round quarterback pick. I think a first-round quarterback pick would be boring as shit because we're going to watch a guy hold a clipboard for all of 2022, and it's not going to make him any better in 2022. And if I'm a Titans fan, I'd like to see him win again in 2022 and potentially go further in the playoffs. And the 2022 quarterback at 26 isn't going to help him do that. Allen, I'll work as hard as I can on those contracts, but odds are they'll be assholes about it and they'll announce them when they come out. Sounds like the combine is going to be a regular combine. Radio Row at the Super Bowl. Don't know. Don't know. Last couple here. Hustle up and get them in if you want. I mean, Julio's fine. That was a little harsh there. I wouldn't want this team drafting an offensive lineman with the value pick ever. I mean, think of the offensive linemen they brought in. I mean, the good ones are a long time ago. Ben Jones, Roger Saffold. Since then, I mean, Isaiah Wilson, Dylan Radins, Quessenberry, who they love, who's terrible, Kendall Lamb, brutal. I don't think Compton would come on as a guest with us. They consider, Outkick and other stuff to be enemy stuff. I like Compton a lot, but I don't think he's nearly as heroic as a lot of you. All right. Looks like we're done. I appreciate all of you. Don't block the box. Do lock the locks. Outkick 360 tomorrow, 2 to 5. Check it out. We'll be on every podcast platform you can think of after the show's over. You can listen to us, watch us live on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. There's a link tree for us. I'll put it on my timeline on Twitter. You can see everywhere you can. I don't know what kind of contract Schwartz signed. All these things, it's very, very important they remain tip-top secret. I appreciate all you guys. I hope you have a great night. Thanks for coming by. Cheers.